This is Majin Oni, and here's my overview of DC's Relaunch Week number 1. Now, this is the first 6 books from the relaunches, and I'm just taking a little break before I finish the second batch. First up, we have OMAC number 1. Now, OMAC I thought was an interesting concept. It's they're still using the OMACs and Brother Eye, but they're doing it in a slightly different way. Much of it is a mystery. The only thing we know is, I think his name was Kevin or Keith or something like that. He was something had happened to him, or sorry, Kevin, and somehow he's hearing another voice inside of his head, which is the Brother Eye, satellite, and it's basically telling him what to do. And it seems like he becomes kind of like a mindless brute once he becomes his OMAC person. It's very, as you can see, it's very Kirby-esque, and for some reason I really like the mohawk. I don't know, it has this really, I guess you could say, organic Finn-like feel to it. I'm not sure if this is something that I would keep on an ongoing basis, but I think the art's pretty strong, and the story is kind of interesting just because it's new. All I know is Brother Eye wants to reconnect with Cadmus, and that's about all we know. So it's decent, but I'm waiting to hear. I want more. Static Shock. This was one of the titles I was looking forward to. I guess you can say this is your typical number 1 issue. Here's basically saying, hey everybody, here's Static Shock. Here's the bad guys. And they're going to be fighting. And that's the gist of it. And of course, let's end you on a cliffhanger. Now, one thing that did surprise me is Hardwire is in here, so I'm kind of curious to see what they have planned with Hardwire for Static Shock. It almost looks like Hardwire is basically, the best way to imagine Hardwire as a holographic Batman, and Static Shock is Tim Drake. That's what the relationship reminds me of so far. Because every time we see Hardwire, it's basically like either like on this video feed, or it's a hologram. It's decent. It's an average issue, I think. It's not as strong as I would have liked it to be, especially since this is a newer character. I mean, it's not a new character, but if you look at it in terms of like a character versus going up against all the established ones, it's a little bit newer. So I was hoping that this one would have been stronger. Men of War. This is like, Sergeant Rock's grandson or something like that. And I'm not impressed with it, I guess you can say. I thought the art's decent, there's some decent moments to it, but it's pretty generic. It's basically, they send this team of, it's like, as you can say, special ops type forces, and they're in the Middle East, and they're trying to extract somebody who was trying to reach a ceasefire, and he disappeared. Basically, that's kidnapped. So it's a very generic opening, and what I think really ruined it for me was the appearance of super beings. We don't know who these beings are, but as you can see, it's causing lots of carnage and chaos down below. It's basically ruining their mission. And at one point, you see there's actually 2 of them. So, for me, see, there's the second one. For me, it just ruined the book. And I don't know how much. I mean, I'm going to get the 3rd issue because they're getting at Discount Comic Book Services. They're doing 50% off issue 3s, so I'll get that. But if it wasn't for that, I don't know if I'd keep getting this. Batman Detective number 1. I liked it. I thought the art was fantastic. The story was interesting. Basically what we're doing is it's bringing you back to a time when Batman and Joker haven't had a lot of interaction between each other, and Batman's trying to feel him out. Now, the one thing that I miss is this, to me, has more of a superhero feel to it. While I liked, if you remember reading the previous issues of Detective before the relaunch, it had more of a detective, more sense of mystery, less, like, punching type thing feel to it. So that's what I miss. Now, I think it's safe to spoil this because this book's been out for a while now. But what really has me questioning what's going on is apparently there's this guy at the beginning who was sent to the Joker, and there's supposed to be some sort of misunderstanding. Joker kills him, and Joker goes to Arkham. Somebody pays him a visit. The Dollmaker pays him a visit, and basically the Dollmaker was there to cut his face off, his skin. And that's what the guy was at the beginning. That was the Dollmaker's son, and he was supposed to do it. So this has me really wondering what's going on. Swamp Thing #1. I thought this was going to be a worthless throwaway comic. I didn't, coming from Brightest Day and in the aftermath, I was like, oh, God, this is going to hurt. But this was actually one of the stronger books of the week. It was a really good issue. It basically takes place right after the aftermath of Brightest Day, that 3-issue miniseries, and it starts off with a bunch of deaths, meaning you have a bunch of birds dying, some bats dying, some fish dying. You have some shenanigans going on here with a dig in Arizona with the mastodon, and something evil's basically coming. Superman goes looking for Alec Holland, going, hey, I can save people, but you can save millions of people. Get your serum going. And Alec is like, Superman, F you, I got other things to do. Don't want to be bothered. And at the very end, Swamp Thing actually makes an appearance. And this Swamp Thing in this issue is a lot, I guess you can say, more level-headed than the evil one was in the Aftermath. This is one that's definitely, it's on my watch list now to see if they're able to keep it up. I'm curious to see what's going to happen and how Alec and the Swamp Thing are going to interact with each other, because they're not joined again. And they do make reference to the past, meaning Alec was Swamp Thing at one point, and he separated, and they've moved on, type thing. So I'm really curious to see where this is going to go. And Stormwatch. Stormwatch was one of the, if you remember, one of the books that I was looking forward to the most, and this did not disappoint me whatsoever. I thought the art was fantastic. I love seeing the Authority characters again. Authority is probably one of my favorite superhero titles, and I just love seeing them again. I have to keep saying that because I like it so much. I like the things they were fighting in the Authority weren't just another group of bad guys, and they're keeping up with that, because in this issue here, they're fighting the moon. Who fights the moon? You know what I'm saying? That's why it's interesting. It's not the Injustice Gang, or it's the Royal Flush Gang, or it's the Rogues. It's the moon. How do you fight the moon? And that's what I like. So, anyways, this issue here you have Jenny Sparks again, the daughter of the 21st century, and well, actually they don't call her Jenny Sparks. She's Jennifer Quantum, and in this she's got a guardian, and Martian Manhunter's in here. They make reference to the fact that he was with the Justice League, and they're basically recruiting Apollo because they believe Apollo is the most powerful superhero, and they need him to fight the types of enemies that they're fighting. Midnighter also makes an appearance at the end, and it looks like basically while the Justice League is going over the big picture, Midnighter, he wants to kill every single bad person, and I'm really hopeful for this book. It looks like they did erase the relationship between these two characters, which for me, it's like, if they're gay, they're gay. I don't care. To me, it's just a story, and as long as it's an interesting story, that's all that matters to me. And for the most part, they never really, like most relationships, you really didn't see any bad, or what might be considered bad things. Meaning that would go for like Clark and Lois. You never really saw anything truly bad. So I'm curious to see if they're going to continue that, or are they just going to forget about it. To me, it doesn't matter one way or the other. But I do like how they're bringing in Martian Manhunter, into the team. It's rounding Stormwatch more into the DCU, and I'm curious to see what's going to happen if the Justice League ever crosses paths with these guys. I should have the rest of the books done tonight. So just as a quick overview, very good. I enjoyed. Very good. Enjoyed that one. I enjoyed. These two here, Static Shock and OMAC, are on the fence. They could go one way or the other. And finally, Men of War. This is on the bottom so far. I'm not really too impressed with this. So, in terms of a relaunch, it's almost what I expected. I expected Batman to be good. I expected to see some titles in the middle ground. I'm just glad out of the 6 random that I chose, they're more on this side than they are on this side, right here. If you have any comments or questions, let me know. I'm kind of curious to see which ones you guys like the most out of these titles. Which ones do you think are going to hold the most potential? And let me know. So I'll have more reviews up as soon as I finish the books. So until next time.